Hi there, Sam. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
Really, really well, thanks, Sam. Good to see you. And I'm just wondering, what's it you'd like to work on today?
Well, today I'm sure, as you probably know, I've just finished my training as a coach, so I'm building my business, and I haven't quite nailed my niche. Who it is I'm going to be working with, and so finding those clients, the online marketing is more difficult because I don't know who they really are.
Got it. So it's about, and congratulations, by the way, that you qualified. It's fantastic to see that. So it's about finding the clients that you're going to work with and marketing to them. So how would you word for us a goal, as being a coach yourself, how would you word as a goal what you'd like to achieve from today?
Oh gosh, I've got this phrase in my head. I'd like to nail my niche.
Okay.
That's probably.
Yeah.
I'm sure I've heard it somewhere, but that is where I am at the moment.
Great.
And when I do that, I think it will free up who I'm actually looking for.
Fantastic. So tell us where you are right now. What's the reality of where you are right now in terms of nailing your niche?
Yeah, it's still very general. I'm a life coach.
Yeah.
I've been working with everybody and his uncle through the training.
Yeah.
Lots of different kinds of people, having some really good experiences. Some experiences kind of went a little bit sideways because it was practicing. And that's where I am kind of now, in that I've had these experiences, but I don't quite know who it is that. It's not just who I'm going to focus on, but who's going to pay me to work with them as a professional coach.
Okay. So you said, so at the moment you're a general coach, you've just coached everybody and their uncle, really looking to find that niche and who it is who's going to pay you as a professional coach. Any last things to say about where you are right now in terms of the reality of where you're at?
Yeah, I'm still working full time.
Okay.
So this is coexisting, sitting alongside evenings and Saturday mornings, and so. But the aim is really to build this business and then scale back my hours with what I'm doing.
Build the business and scale back the hours. Okay. And any things else in terms of the reality right now, in terms of that nailing the niche? Are there any things that you've already put in place or any ideas that you've already got at all?
Well, there are some people that I particularly enjoyed working with and who I think had a good experience, had some good outcomes, and as I say, there were obviously others that they were great learning, but not necessarily to move forward. So yeah, I mean there were two or three areas, two or three kinds of people, scenarios I particularly like working with.
Okay. So maybe that leads us nicely to kind of explore. Let's just give you that room to explore what your options are, and it's quite exciting when you are a new coach to kind of find out what feels right for you. So tell me, let's just have some fun here. What are all of the options? You talked about you coached everybody and their uncle so far. Give me some of the options that could be your niche.
Yeah, well, probably people like me, and I coach with some people at my work. I work in finance, in insurance, and so I worked with people in various positions in there. And usually around, not necessarily about the business, but how you deal with the business. Because I think one thing that goes through most of my industry is stress, is overwhelm.
Right.
It's very regulated, it's very pressured.
Yeah.
It's very spread out around the world with teams and groups of people around the world, and dealing with that in a high pressure environment. It usually it's about dealing with stress, how to work with stress. So that's one. Yeah. The other one is some young people, again, teenagers usually, of some of my work colleagues and friends. Yeah. Again, probably dealing with stress and pressure and overwhelm coming up towards exams. That's the other one. Yeah. So I think they're probably the two main ones, I would imagine.
Okay, so you said it could be the people like you, finance, insurance. You talked about where lots of people have the stress, where they have the overwhelm. Another group you talked about, people who might be parents of teenagers, so there's teenagers again who are dealing with stress coming up to exams and so on. Are there any other audience that could possibly be your niche?
That's a good question. I think sometimes there are a few people I worked with, and some that I'd like to work with, but I haven't worked with yet, who are probably business owners who, again, not necessarily about building the business, but it's almost kind of mindsets around building the business.
Okay, on the mindset side.
Because I think that's, again, probably where I am at the moment.
Okay. And again, give me one or two more options. It sounds like you've got plenty already. So you talked about the people like you, people in finance. You talked about people, perhaps teenagers, dealing with stress, young people, teenagers, who again are dealing with stress. And then you talked about business owners and more on that mindset, because again, that ties in with yourself. Any other groups of, everybody and their uncle?
Well, there are some people I worked with that they weren't necessarily so motivated to do it, even though they wanted to help me out as a coach that was practicing, and that was people who wanted to switch their careers. And generally, they'd at least my practice clients, they'd be late, or they didn't do the homework, and they'd forget on a session. So that's certainly one. But I think that for some reason, and I don't know why, the motivation wasn't there. Maybe because they knew that very much they were helping me, and I was practicing with them.
Okay. And do you want to explore any or other options, or do you like the options that you've got there? You talked about the people in the industries like you, finance, insurance, and so on, and particularly where people are dealing with overwhelm. You talked about the teenagers, where there might be stress coming up to the exams. You talked about the business owners on the mindset, and then the people who are switching careers. Any other options you're wanting to explore, or do you feel that there's...
I think they're probably the ones.
Okay. So then let's look at what you will do and what the way forward. But looking at those options first of all, before we do that, which of the options really are the ones that you wanted to zoom in on? You've talked about, again, the finance, insurance, the stress, and the young people, again, the stress, teenagers, and then the business owners, the mindset. Which of those feel the ones that you're wanting to explore?
Well, I guess the main one, I suppose the low-hanging fruit, would be the people like me, people in the insurance industry, in finance, who are working through some really difficult times. I think there are always difficult times in the industry, but I think especially now. And the reason I say that is that my line manager, on the one hand, I know that this situation, this issue of stress and helping people, supporting people with stress, isn't necessarily being dealt with or supported. And my line manager has been really supportive with me doing the coach training. So I don't know whether there would be a synergy there, but possibly.
So this sounds interesting what you said there. You talked about people like you in finance, and then you talked about the difficulties that your line managers kind of experienced, and that they've also been supportive of you as a coach. Do you feel that, do you know lots of people in this particular industry? Could it be where, you talked before about where the money is? Do you think that this could be the sweet spot for you as a niche?
It could be, in that, for the most part, I've done all my coach training and practicing in sessions online. And in my industry, like for example, my line manager is based in Switzerland, in Zurich. There's another team over in the Far East, and so the people I know, my network, are literally all over the world.
Right.
So even though I haven't tapped into that with regards to coaching yet, I think one thing we all have in common is that we all have to do everything, for example, by yesterday. There is always that incredible pressure.
Right. And could there be lots of potential clients in that space?
Without doing a mind read, I would imagine, yes.
Yeah. Okay. So then let's look at what you will do and when. So you've talked about the goal, which is to nail your niche. You've talked about where you are at the moment in terms of the general life coach. You coached everybody and their uncle, lots of different types. Still working full time. And you've talked about really in terms of the options, people like you, people in finance, people in insurance. You talked about that stress, overwhelm factor. You also did talk about other groups, teenagers, coming up to exams. You talked about business owners and the mindset. And then you said that really when asked, which of those might be the niche area, you talked about, again, people in that field, finance. You talked about your manager, and you talked about how they were supportive, and you talked about the contacts at various places, Switzerland, Zurich, and the online aspect. So what will you do and when? As you know, as a coach, this is the bit where we say what we're going to do and when. So what is it you're going to do and when to help you nail down that niche and to find the clients?
I think one is identity. It's just really to, it's almost like decide this is the character. This is the thing I'm going to wear. This is the identity, who I'm going to be. So when somebody asks me, or equally who I think of myself, am I a coach or just a coach or a life coach? No, I'm for example, I don't know. I'm just pulling this idea out of the head, out of the air at the moment. I'm a stress management coach.
That's right.
And I work with people, senior people in the financial sector.
Archie, I'm going to invite you to write that down. So you talked about that you're a stress manager, particularly working with people in the finance sector. Okay. And from when are you going to embrace that mentality?
I'm smiling. I'm liking that. I've never heard that phrase.
It's great.
Stress management coach.
I like that.
Sounds cool.
Yeah, from when?
From when? It begins now. It begins today. I'm a big believer in when you make a decision, then there's a ripple effect. It begins a process. So just with that.
Fantastic. And can you give me maybe 2 or 3 other actions of what you'll do and when, just to get the ball rolling?
Yeah. Again, I'm a big believer, start before you're ready. So I need to have a conversation with my line manager.
Yeah.
And just update her that this is the my area of expertise, and see where that goes. Ask for opportunities.
Ask for opportunities. And when are you going to have that conversation?
We talk every week, so it's going to be this coming Thursday.
So this coming Thursday, and I'm going to invite you to think about what kind of opportunities you're wanting to explore with her in terms of that conversation. Any last action, any other low-hanging fruit that will help you nail down this niche? Is there anything else that you could do as an action?
I think just to, when I have that conversation, just to have an idea in my mind's eye what that initial coaching program, I'm going to suggest. We usually have the conversation when we talk about the business, and then it finishes up with, so what else is happening? And this is where I could set. So just to have almost like a beta program, like a 3-month, 6 sessions with key people, and see what she says.
Brilliant. And when do you want to have that 3 months thing written by, sketched out by?
I think I've got quite a lot of that sketched out from the training that I've done. So I just need to kind of look at that through the lens of stress management coach.
Fantastic.
And then have the conversation and see what comes from that.
Well, really good luck, and let me know how it goes next Thursday. So you've talked about that goal, nailing your niche, and you've talked about how you're that stress management coach. You've identified some really good actions, chatting to your manager, looking at that first program, and it looks as though you've got lots of potential clients in that. So I'm really potentially in that realm. So I'm really looking forward to catching up with you next time, Sam, and welcome to our coaching world.
Thank you very much.
A real pleasure.
Thank you. So thanks very much for watching that video. Sam is a real client I'm recently been working with. She's newly qualified, and she really just wanted to get that clarity, who she was going to work with, who she was going to look for, who she was going to engage with, find her audience. And as a result of the work we did over several sessions, she started to get a lot of feedback from Facebook, from DM messages, with people reaching out, wanting to book those free initial conversations, and some have actually converted into a first paying client. So it's been brilliant working with Sam, and I hope you enjoyed the session.